Well, Granny, you won't believe this, but I actually outsmarted a predator the other day. You know, one of them predators in the movie with Arnold the Schwartz? Yeah, Granny, I outsmarted one of those the other day, all thanks to Grandpa.
Well, this ought to be good. I won't interrupt.
Well, Granny, it all started whenever we went on this little nature hike in the woods with a group of people. And Grandpa was with me, he was making sure I was doing okay. Well, I heard something. I turned to Grandpa and I said, Grandpa, what is that noise? And he listened, he looked at me and said, that's one of them predators from the movie that you watched. I said, one of them predators? Well, I better be careful because them things might attack me. He said, well, not if you don't have any weapons. I said, well, I might. He might consider something that I have a weapon. I don't know. So I told the person who's leading the group, I said, there's one of them there predators out here. He said, what are you talking about? I said, listen. So he listened, he said, that's not a predator. That's one of them pecker of the woods. I said, that is not a pecker of the woods. I said, that is a predator. So we better do something. You better be taking this serious is what you better be doing. What do you mean it's called a woodpecker? Pecker of the woods, that's what I said. Now Grandpa told me, he said, we better get on out of here. And he said, we better run. And he said, as you run, you better start screaming, I don't have any weapons on me. I'm unarmed. And so that's what I did, Granny. I began running through the woods. Grandpa was throwing out to me in his train. And I said, unarmed I is. Unarmed I is. You ain't gonna get me, predator. And I just kept on running and running. And eventually, Granny, I came into this field with a bunch of animals in it. I don't know how long I've been running, but there's all these animals in the field. What's your things called? You take them and you milk them. I think it's called rhinoceros. There's a bunch of them rhinoceroses out there. Well, Granny, I'm sitting there and Grandpa's with me and I said, what do we do? He said, let's go underneath that tree over there. So we went underneath this tree and we're just sitting there and I began to hear that noise again. I said, it followed us. He said, Joe, here's what we're going to do. Well, this is what you're going to do, not me. We're going to make sure that you're well protected. And here's what happened. First, he told me, you see all this stink mud over here? And I said, stink mud? What do you mean stink mud? He's like, remember from the movie when he covered himself in all that mud? I said, yeah, I remember. He said, well, he's not going to be able to see covered in mud. And he said, look at all this stink mud around here. And I'm like, what do you mean stink mud? He's like, you see these little patties? That's called stink mud. Now watch one of them animals. And this stink mud came out of its butt. And he said, what you're going to do is you're going to cover yourself head to toe in stink mud. And that's what I did, Granny. I covered myself head to toe in stink mud. And now here's something else. After I began covering myself in stink mud, he pulls out some gasoline. I don't know why Grandpa carried some gasoline with him, but he sure did, Granny. And he started pouring it everywhere. He said, now Joe, what we're going to do is we're going to light this gasoline on fire because they can see heat. And this fire is going to help cover you even more. So that's what he did, Granny, is I'm covering myself with all this stink mud. He sits there and he puts all this gasoline around and lights it on fire. And boy, that farm or whatever it was, Granny, oh, it caught a blaze. And that fire spread everywhere. Oh boy, it was a bunch of chaos. And he told me, he said, now I'm going to leave and I'm going to go home. Now you go back in them there woods and you hide out. And you make sure that nobody sees you. And you hang out there for a little while. And then you eventually come home. But make sure that nobody sees you. Pretend that everybody's one of them predators. And that's what I did, Granny. That's what I did. Mr. Tom lets me tell Caroline I covered myself in stink mud. That's what I did, everybody. It's a secret, so don't be telling everybody, but I covered myself head to toe in stink mud. And Grandpa set that farm on fire, and he went on home. And I went back in the woods and I hid out for a while. And boy, I made sure that nothing came along and got me. Boy, I tell you what, somebody must have called somebody because fire department man, they come along and they're trying to put out the fire and everything. And I want to go out there and tell them, don't, there's a predator out there, but I was told by Grandpa, don't do it. So I'm sitting down there in the woods, and boy, I was getting filthy, and some of that stink mud getting in my mouth, and I didn't, but that's all right. I was safe, and I eventually made it back home, and that's all that matters. I outsmarted one of them predators, thanks to Grandpa. Covered myself head to toe in stink mud. That's what I did. That's how you outsmart one of them predators. You just cover yourself in stink mud. That's our little secret.
Hold on a second. Let me get this straight. Grandpa convinced you to cover yourself in stink mud, and you did it? That was funny.